Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Hasana. You can call me Hasana. I'm from TVI 4, and in this video I would like to discuss about type of qualitative research. Before that, I hope all of you stay healthy, keep spirit and strong in this condition, and please avoid uh, the crow to keep you from the virus that hit our country. Okay, before we move to type of qualitative research, I will give you a little describing about what is qualitative research and what is the purpose and what is the differences between qualitative research and quantitative research. Okay, first is qualitative research. Do you know what is qualitative research? Qualitative research is descriptive research and tend to use analysis. The theoretical foundation in qualitative research is used as a guide so that the research focus on accordance with the fact in the field. Uh, in addition, this theoretical basis is also useful for providing an overview of the research background and as material for discussion of research results. Qualitative research describes a phenomenon in depth by analyzing the depth of data in a true, detailed, and systematic manner. And this is different between qualitative research and quantitative research because in qualitative research the object is there in study, so the researcher participates and the event or condition that is being studied. For that, the result of this study require a depth of analysis from the researcher in addition, the results of this study are subjective so that they can be generalized. In general, qualitative research is conducted using interview and observation methods. Through this method, the researcher will analyze the data obtained from the field in detail. So, quantitative research is the part from theory to data and the ends in acception or rejection of the theory used. Whereas is qualitative research, the researchers start from data, utilize existing theories as explanatory materials, and the end with a theory. Qualitative research emphasizes the depth of data obtained by researchers. The deeper and more detailed the data obtained, the better the qualitative of this qualitative research. Oh, the better the quality of this qualitative research. Okay, now we move to a type of qualitative research. I know the type of qualitative research is very much, but I just explanation some of type of qualitative research. The first is ethnography. Ethnography is a research method that look at the study of language in social behavior and community communication and how the language is applied based on related cultural concepts. Ethnographic studies have two basic concepts on which base research, namely aspect of culture and language, where language is seen as important system in the culture of society. And this method has the aim of examining the form and function of language available in the culture and used to communicate mm, available in the culture and used to communicate with individual is it, uh, as well as saying how the form and the function of language become part of people's life. And in addition, ethnographic method also interprets social group, the prevailing system and the rules that the prevailing system and the role they play, as well as the social interaction and occur in society. Ethnographic methods are usually used to focus on certain activities or ritual in society, language, belief, way of life, and so on. Ethnography methods are usually used to focus on certain activity or ritual in society, maybe like language, belief, way of life, and so on. Maybe I will give you example from this method. The example is like maybe observe facing the life of street vendors selling in the neighborhood. Maybe that. Okay, next is study case. This method examines a particular case or phenomenon in society which is carried out by studying the background, circumstance, and interaction that occur. Study cases are carried out in a single system, which which can be in the form which can be in the form of a program, activity, event, or a group of individuals who exist in certain circumstance or condition. This is this is not done to draw conclusion on the phenomenon of particular population or group, but to studies only. And also, study case research does not have to examine just one person or individual, but it can be with several people or objects that have a single focus to be studied to obtain in-depth data. This study used interview, observation, as well as documentary study technique, which were then analyzed into a theory. A case study will understand, analyze, and then interpret the meaning obtained from the phenomenon under study. And maybe the example from this method is like increasing juvenile delinquency, maybe that. And next is historical method. The historical method, which is research that focus on past events and reconstruct the past with the data source or historical witnesses that still exist today. The data source can be obtained from various historical records, artifacts, verbal reports, as well as living witness that can be justified from the truth of their testimony because it examines it because it examines past events. The hallmarks of historical research is time. The hallmark of historical research is time, where the phenomenon is seen as development or change based on shifting time. Another feature of this method is that research studies rely more on the observational data of others people who have previously conducted research. In addition, the data source used must be objective, systematic, accurate, and authentic, which can be justified and come from the right source. Since the historical method has a time-based focus, it is necessary to pay close attention to the sequence of events and their time in the detail and clearly. And one of example from this method is doing research on what happened in ancient time. Doing research on what happened in ancient time. And another type of qualitative research is grounded theory method, which is this method is the basic theory method. The basic theory method is research conducted to find a theory or strengthen existing theory by examining existing basic principle and rules and then making basic conclusion that from the basic principle of theory. In carrying out this method, the researchers must sort out which phenomenon can be said to be a core phenomenon and which ones can be taken and format a theory. The data collection of this basic theory method is carried out by field studies, observation, comparison between categories, phenomenon and situation based on various assessments such as inductive, deductive, and verification studies until the data is saturated. And one of example from this method is maybe like Clifford Geertz once built a theory about Japanese Muslim community which is still divided into priai, santri, and abangan classes. When at this time we want to do ground research on Muslim communities in a village in Java, we don't need to apply the classification made by the grids. Instead, we have to look at the data and then come up with a concept as its pick. Maybe that's all my description about type of qualitative research, and maybe you have a critical or suggestion about my speaking, about my content or my material. You can write in below, and don't forget watching, and thanks for your attention. Bye bye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.